In this video, I'm going to explain how your web browser, in conjunction with a CDN and some JavaScript, can be used to attack yourself, making you an unwitting accomplice. Hi, my name is Don Bowman, and I'm with Agilicus, where we make any application available to any user on any device, anytime, anywhere, without a VPN. So you think a lot about a security model where inside equals good and outside equals bad. So you have a firewall. This could be in your home, it could be at work, and you're in here, and this protects you from the bad stuff on the internet. So out on the internet, there's some website that maybe you use, and it has some third-party content in it, some images, maybe some HTML generated comments from other people on a forum, and it's going to, of course, use some JavaScript from some CDNs, and perhaps some advertising. It's normal. And again, you've got this mental model that the firewall that you've purchased is protecting you from any of these things being able to attack you when you're not around. Now, if we look inside your home, let's first look inside your PC on your desktop. So inside this, you run the browser, which you've started and you trust. And you may have another service running on here, which is HTTP based and doesn't require any authentication. It only listens on localhost, so why would it need authentication? And for me, this was a thing called SyncThing. And SyncThing, it's a little simple tool that allows you to synchronize multiple devices together. It's very nice. But this could be other things that run on your desktop. A lot of you are developers. You could be running a Docker registry. You could be running a Kubernetes like MicroK8s. Could be anything. So you as a user use this browser. It creates an outbound connection through your firewall. And it creates one to each of these sites, and it fetches the data that you've asked for, after all, and it executes it inside your browser. But the browser will obey those instructions, and as far as it's concerned, this website is no different than this website. And recently we saw a bunch of people talking about how eBay was doing a port scan against them. They were scanning 127.0.0.1, and they were using a technique with WebSockets to do this, and it's designed to fingerprint you. It's done for a couple reasons. It's done for anti-fraud, they're worried about botnets, but ultimately they want to get a good view of who you are and what your device is. And you may be running an ad blocker, you may block cookies, you may do other things which make that challenging for them. So what they do is they fingerprint inside your PC on other services. So coming back to our example here of my SyncThing, if one of these tools is compromised or run by a malicious actor, I'm fetching active code, JavaScript, which runs inside my browser, which runs inside my firewall, which is perfectly capable of reaching out to my SyncThing, the web interface, which has no username and password. And then it's capable of setting up a synchronization relationship with somebody else on the public internet. And now what's going to happen is the SyncThing daemon is going to make an outbound connection there, and it's going to exfiltrate all of my files to somebody else without my knowledge. All they had to do was entice me to go to a fairly innocuous website, something that I do many times per day. So how would you protect against this? Well, I'm not really sure. WebSockets have some restrictions. They won't work on port 22, so they can't go to your SSH daemon. But the SyncThing by default runs on port 8384, and it's standard web. There's nothing stopping arbitrary code loaded from here from going there. The tools that we normally use for this, if we look at cross-origin request scripting, well, that's associated with these servers. I can assume that they're not implementing anything. The SyncThing isn't implementing anything to protect itself there. We look at cross-site scripting, but this isn't a cross-site scripting attack. It's not that this site is attacking this other site. It's just running some code which happens to do a post to my sync thing. I'm not really sure what you do to protect against this. So in a zero trust world, we treat this and this in the same fashion. So what we do is we assume that all services are equally untrusted, zero trust, and then we force ourselves to authenticate to all of them. So what we would do is we would move this application logically into the internet domain, and we would do the same for everything else I was running. Over the years, there have been other attacks of a similar nature. In a consumer space, these little home routers, most of you didn't change the username and password. It was admin, admit it. And what would happen is this malicious code would do a post there. The most common attack is we're called DNS changer attacks. And what they would do is they would change your name server. So then when you tried to go to some site, you would end up going to a different site because they control the IP that came back. They might use it for ad hijacking or something of that nature, maybe crypto mining. But there could be other things in your home. You think about all the Internet of Things that you have. You've got light switches and smart lawnmowers and sprinklers and things of that nature. This browser has access to hundreds of devices that all run in this fully trusted domain inside your firewall. And you, just like inviting the vampire in, you brought the code in, but you didn't really even know. You just thought of using this website. So this is a very complicated problem. Some people are going at it by completely sandboxing the browser and making multiple instances of them. Some people are going about it by moving the browser logically into the internet domain, and therefore it can't get back in. But when the rubber hits the road, this is a very difficult problem. And it's been in the press recently a lot because of eBay, but it's not a new problem. And I think this time next year, it won't be a solved problem either. So thanks very much, and there's more information in the description below. Please remember to subscribe, and thank you very much. Bye-bye.